The best way to learn English is to train daily with a good story. And this is about how a loose thread can become an entire carpet. We invite you to stay with us, using this story as an inspiring way to enhance your English vocabulary and listening comprehension. Meet Mateo, 25 years old, Chilean, food delivery rider in London. He pedals through busy streets, but it's as if he's invisible. Crowds pass by, buses honk, tourists take photos, and no one sees the young man carrying lunches and dinners on his red bicycle. His apartment in Peckham is a deafening silence. Photos of Chile fill the walls, Viña del Mar beach, the snow-capped Andes, his smiling family. He tries to call home, but the time zones don't match. So, Mateo turns on a Spanish podcast. Like a blanket for loneliness, London has 9 million people, he thinks. Watching rain fall on the window, and none of them know I exist. The worst isn't homesickness, it's the feeling of being a ghost. At the supermarket, he stumbles asking for bread instead of pan. At the restaurant, he tries to ask where the bathroom is, but the words come out jumbled. People look with impatience, or worse, with pity. Until one day, he tries to order a typical Chilean dish at a small restaurant. The waiter turns away, serving another customer. Mateo stands frozen, menu in hand. He tries again, but his voice won't come out. One die. He walks out to the street, sits on a cold bench, the red bicycle leaning beside him. London lights flicker like distant stars, and there, amid the crowd that never sees him, Mateo buries his face in his hands and cries. Not from hunger, nor from the cold, but because, in the world's most cosmopolitan city, he had never felt so alone. Mateo's tears dried with the rain, but the loneliness remained like a tight knot in his chest. The next day, he pedaled with the weight of accumulated deliveries when his phone rang. Last order of the day. An address in Kensington. The apartment was discreet, with a brass plaque, Carmen Reyes, artisan seamstress. He climbed the stairs, the thermal box in his hands. Opening the door, chaos greeted him. Fabrics scattered across the floor, tangled sewing threads, and in the center of the room, Carmen, a woman of about 60. Almond-shaped eyes and gray hair, trying to mend a torn wedding dress. "Whoa!" she exclaimed in Spanish upon seeing the delivery. "The machine broke yesterday, and I need to deliver this tomorrow." Mateo stood still holding the box. It was then that Carmen noticed his hands, calloused, with small scars on his fingertips. "Usted cose?" she asked, pointing to Mateo's hands. "Was?" He hesitated, then gestured yes. Carmen signaled him to wait, returned with a sewing kit, and pointed to the dress. "Puede ayudarme?" He shook his head, uncertain. As he examined the tier, something fell from Mateo's pocket, a small Chilean embroidery, with flowers from the Atacama Desert. Carmen picked up the cloth, her fingers tracing the stitches. "Que hermoso," she whispered. "In Andalusia, we call this punto de cruz, and in Chile," Mateo smiled for the first time in weeks, made a crossing gesture with his fingers. "Punto cruzado," he said, in clear Spanish. So together, they worked in silence. She showed how to align the fabric. He, with precise movements, made almost invisible stitches. When they finished, the dress was perfect. Carmen said slowly in English, "Thank you. You saved my wedding dress." Mateo replied hesitantly and uncertainly, "My mother taught me, in Chile." She smiled, and for the first time that week, Mateo didn't feel invisible. Was, The following days became a secret ritual. Mateo arrived after deliveries, and Carmen greeted him with cinnamon tea and a slice of orange cake. She taught new crochet stitches and new English words. How to use the delivery app on her old phone, and together they practiced the language. As he said delivery, she taught. Delivery, he repeated, laughing. One day, while arranging yarn balls, Carmen opened a cedar chest in the bedroom. Inside, a treasure, photographs and letters from many places. Carmen had been: Spain, Portugal, Ireland, Italy. Mateo many places, taught so many people to sew, but now my world is reduced to this apartment. Mateo picked up a photograph of Carmen with two girls. Why do you live alone? He asked. She sighed. My daughters live in Barcelona. My friends, they passed away. For the first time, Mateo saw her loneliness, identical to his, only older. That night, he had an idea. The next day, he arrived with a notebook and drew something, a circle with people sitting around. What if, he began, gesturing, if we invite other people, like a club? Carmen frowned. A sewing club. He nodded, excited. He drew a heart in the center of the circle. No, a friends club. She laughed, a laugh she hadn't had in a long time. Weaving connections, she exclaimed, clapping her hands. That will be our club's name. The first Weaving Connections gathering began with heavy silence. 5 people in Carmen's room: a Nigerian student, a Greek grandmother, an Indian programmer, Mateo and Carmen. No one knew where to start. Mateo, nervous, showed his Chilean embroidery. In Chile, this means friendship, he explained in hesitant English. The Nigerian student smiled. In Nigeria, we call it ubuntu. I exist because we exist. The magic began when Carmen distributed fabric scraps. Each one chooses a color that represents their story. The Greek grandmother picked navy blue, the sea that brought me here. The Indian chose green, hope for a new beginning. The Nigerian student, gold, the sun of my homeland. Mateo picked safflower red, the strength that brought me here. Carmen, finally, chose white, the peace I found with you. Hands began to work, and gradually, a rhythm emerged. Mateo taught his cross-stitch, Carmen, crochet stitches. Others shared techniques from their countries. The initial silence gave way to stories. The Indian programmer spoke of his homeland. The Greek grandmother, of the grandson she hadn't seen in 10 years. The student, of missing family. The carpet grew like a human rainbow. Threads of wool intertwined not only in the fabric, but in souls. When the sun set, they looked at the work, a mosaic of colors, textures, and cultures, with an embroidered heart in the center. It's beautiful, whispered the Greek grandmother. The Weaving Connections carpet shone under the lights of London's South Bank Centre. Mateo, standing on stage, could hardly believe it. Hundreds of people admired the work. 4 métis by 6 métis bys of scraps telling stories from 15 countries, with an embroidered heart in the center. This carpet isn't just fabric, he said, into the microphone, his voice firm. In the audience, Carmen wiped away a tear. The Nigerian student was now a tour guide, the Greek grandmother, a volunteer at a shelter, the Indian programmer, a mentor to refugees. All transformed. When Mateo finished his speech, the applause was deafening. He wasn't invisible, he was essential. Back in the neighborhood, the group grew. Now 25 people from 18 countries, they met every Tuesday in Carmen's room. Now a community workshop. While teaching, Mateo saw Carmen smiling in the corner. The circle was complete. He was no longer the invisible immigrant. He was the thread connecting other loose threads. And when the original carpet was auctioned to fund a new community center, Mateo understood, loneliness isn't absence of people, but absence of connection. To be seen, start by seeing others first. If Mateo and Carmen's story resonated with you, leave a comment below telling us, how do you connect with other people? Like and share this video with someone who needs to remember they too can be a thread in the web of connection. Subscribe to receive stories that help you learn English. Join our community of learners who discovered that English flows better when souls connect.